Good morning, everyone. So this video is slightly different to some of my other ones because I felt like I really had to come on and say what I need to say, because I feel that times are going to be changing for us farming families, and I really believe that us women have been dreaming and having visions and imagining what life could be like when farming really started to come into its own. This is in the UK, so I'm speaking of UK farmers basically. And I believe that our husbands and our partners and any men in farming have been, they've been striving to keep things going, to keep things running, to continue to, try and make a profit where possible. They've been trying to, keep things alive, all these things. So the men have kind of been, I feel, really pressurized, particularly in the last 30 years. So this is like my grandparents, my dad's generation and mine. We've had multiple things happen in farming, from BSE to foot and mouth, and then more recently, I know that we have been largely affected by the vegan movement. And how we have felt through, particularly in January, when it was in the news all the time about veganism, changing your food and stuff like that. And I really believe that us women have been given dreams and visions for our farms, for our farming families. Even if you're not in farming, I believe that at the moment the NHS is as pushed to the limits with unhealthy people because the quality of food is so poor. And that is fine for me, who lives here in Devon, and I'm surrounded by good quality food, and I know that I have good quality meat and good quality vegetables all of the time. But there are places in this country that don't have good quality food, and I believe it's coming now where us farmers are going to need to be in a position to step up and provide good quality food at sensible prices. So for me personally, my vision looks like this for our farm: to go into an organic system, but not necessarily be organic. So I don't necessarily want to fill out all the paperwork, but I want to reduce our man-made fertilizer use on the ground. I want to reduce the amount of medication we use. So that already is two massive great bills. If you can reduce those two bills, then you're already reducing the amount meat costs or vegetables cost to grow. And there are ways, there's so much science now that is, pointed in the direction of growing food organically. But also, if you're not, we're also looking to never plough this farm either, because every time we plough, we deplete the soil of all its goodness. So our soil, for the majority of our farm, we haven't ploughed it, but for a few fields we have ploughed, and you can tell the difference. You can just see that they're lacking in things, and every time we turn it deeply, so turn it with a metal plough, it's not going to be that great for it, purely because it loses all its nutrients and everything. So I'm particularly interested in the carbon cycle and how we can farm carbon as well, because we as farmers are going to, I feel, going to be a huge part of cleaning up the atmosphere even more than it's already being cleaned up at the moment. And the way that is the best way to do that isn't to plant trees. No, you just need greenery in the ground. So they are proving that grass and things like that is really, really key to cleaning up the environment. And I believe us farmers are going to come into this amazing time where the country is going to look to us. And us women are going to be able to guide the men in our lives, whether it's dads, granddads, husbands, partners, and I really believe, for me, I've been given this massive vision for our farm, and it involves good quality food, being made, so animal welfare so high, and, you know, reducing the need for medication, reducing the need for man-made fertilizers, anything man-made basically. And therefore we end up with a really quality like meat product. So meat is so good for us, you know, and it's so good for the immune system. And I completely agree that we possibly don't need to eat as much meat as we do every day, but we do need it a little bit, you know, and it just helps us to stay healthy, to stay alive. And I just really believe this at the moment, that us ladies are going to come into our own, and all the things that we've wanted to implement over the years, I believe they're going to start being implemented. I am seeing things home here now that we're doing. So yesterday we spread lime. Well, we haven't spread lime for years. I was very young when we spread lime, because we've always relied on man-made fertilizers. So things here are already changing, because I know that is the plan. And so I'm just coming on to encourage you women in farming today to say, anything that you've wanted to do, let's do it. Let's take the risk. Let's start planting the seeds in the other people in our families' lives. You know, longer term, I'd really like to set up like a retreat and do things like that on this farm. It isn't just about food for me. It's lots of things. So it's really exciting. I'm really excited about this whole thing, which is crazy because everyone's panicking in the middle of lockdown for a coronavirus, and I'm here going, woohoo, yay, farming. All that I've really felt this for nearly 12 or 13 years, that something along these lines that we're currently was going to happen. And farmers were going to come into their own, because all of a sudden we needed to feed 66 million people. And that isn't always necessarily like having to ship food to cities and things like that either. Like, my thing is, if we can look after the people around us, then everything else is surplus. We can sell that further afield if we need to. So be encouraged today, women, and I hope you've enjoyed this message, and share it with other women in farming if you know of any, and I will speak to you soon.